Russell Shimoka. This is KGMB 9 News at 6.
Well, the future of long-line fishing hinges on the ability to put observers on the boats.
But KGMB has learned that observers are in short supply, in part because a dozen of them were recently fired by the federal government. Good evening. The observers were fired just prior to a judge's order requiring a federal monitor on each boat.
And the union that represents the observers say heads should roll. 12 observers were fired in May, just before the ruling of federal judge David Ezra turned the longline fishing industry on its ear. KGMB 9's Garrett Kamimoto has the latest. Why did no one in the Harris administration notice when millions of dollars was stolen from the Ewa Villages project, allegedly at the hands of Michael Kahapea? A police detective said today the city did not follow its own rules when it came to handing out money. As KGMB 9's Stacy Lowe reports, that fact sent a police detective straight to Mayor Jeremy Harris for questioning. It looks like an illegal marijuana patch, but it's really the state's experimental crop of industrial hemp. Seeds planted in January are now in full bloom in what the state hopes will be Hawaii's next major agricultural crop. An update now from KGMB 9's Jerry Drelling. Well, here in Hawaii, we're lucky enough to have places where you can swim with dolphins and even sharks for the right price. Soon, a new exhibit at Sea Life Park will allow visitors to interact with the mysterious and intimidating stingray. Park curators believe the new exhibit will help visitors better know these misunderstood creatures.
People are somewhat unsure. Whenever they enter the water, they hear of the stingray that can hurt them. And through our program, people are going to come away here with a much different perception.
There are currently 11 stingrays in this brand new exhibit. A swim with them will cost you $49. And as I mentioned, if swimming with the rays isn't intriguing enough, the park also offers a new underwater adventure that puts you face to face with sharks.
In world news tonight, a passenger jet flying from Amman, Jordan was hijacked today.
The hijacker's weapon, a hand grenade. Authorities say one of the 3 hijackers threw the grenade at security officers when he tried to enter the cockpit of a Royal Jordanian jet bound for Syria. He was shot to death by the guards who routinely staff flights. But the grenade went off while in flight, injuring some 15 passengers, none of them seriously. The 2 other hijackers were immediately arrested as the jet was rerouted back to Amman. Investigators say the hijackers did not have political motives for taking over the jet. Officials say the hijacker wanted to be taken to Germany, where he had once lived and worked as a mechanic. Well, yesterday we showed you these breathtaking shots of Opsail 2000, the world's largest maritime gathering ever. Well, today, a fender bender of sorts when the Queen Elizabeth II luxury liner accidentally crashed into a Japanese warship. The QE2 brushed alongside the warship Kashima as it tried to dock in New York City's Hudson Harbor. The Kashima then bashed into the British warship HMS Manchester. Now, no one was hurt, and the Queen sends along her deepest apologies, prompting a Japanese admiral to say, "It's an honor to be kissed by the Queen." Brush fires continue to dot the Southwest. Some are destroying homes. This wildfire just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah, started in an open range, but as you can see, it didn't take long for winds to fan flames toward these homes. 5 houses were charred by the fires. More than 60 firefighters were called out to fight this fire. Fire crews continue to battle brush fires in Colorado near Dinosaur National Monument. And in Nevada, a fire near Reno has charred some 37,000 acres. When forecasters said it was going to be a hot summer, they didn't anticipate this. Not at all.
Kim is going to give us a weather out.
Main drug of choice in the islands.
This weekend, agents converged on several neighborhoods and found out what people are willing to do for the sake of easy money. HPD and FBI agents made the arrests and seized over 10 pounds of crystal meth, illustrating how and why ice is still the drug of choice here on the islands. KGMB 9's Louise Kim McCoy reports on this significant bust. If convicted, each suspect faces 10 to 20 years, and since the ice came from Los Angeles, the FBI is looking at possibly more arrests. The Hawaii chapter of the Sierra Club came out with its 2000 legislative scorecard. The scorecard ranks state representatives and senators based on how they voted on environmental issues. According to the Sierra Club, Manoa Representative Brian Schatz is Hawaii's most enviro-friendly lawmaker.
He deserves much credit from the Sierra Club for his advocacy, not only behind the scenes, but also pushing a shark finning bill.
According to the Sierra Club, Schatz voted to support 82% of the environmental legislation before him. Scoring at the bottom of the list, Representative Colleen Meyer of Laie, Hauula, and Waiahole. She supported just 18% of the environmental issues on the Sierra Club agenda. The city's top civil attorney says he did not send an assistant to spy on Michael Kahapea's trial. The defense says a former law student who took notes during the trial may have tainted testimony, and now the defense wants a mistrial. KGMB9's Stacey Lowe has more on today's special hearing. In the worst-case scenario for the city, the judge could declare a mistrial. If that does not happen, the trial will continue with the prosecution's last witness, the police detective who cracked the case.
Police officer.
And our thoughts go out to her and her family.
We would love to give her a great homecoming, healthy and happy coming back.
Well,
here
let's be
soon.
positive. It'll happen.
Yeah.
Still to come on KGMB 9 News, we're going to tell you where to go for some spectacular 4th of July fun. Competition for your gas dollars is heating up in central Oahu. Discount prices at a new Costco gas station has others following suit. KGMB 9's Britt Rito shows us how you could profit from the station's lack of profit. Costco declined an on-camera interview, but did say it can offer the price because it relies on volume rather than a high profit margin.
July 5th.
And Kim, there are many of our viewers out there wondering where they can catch the spectacular fireworks display tomorrow evening. Well, a massive display will be airborne at Magic Island. It starts at 8:30 in the evening. Also, Pearl Harbor, the show begins there at 8:30. Fireworks off Flat Island in Kailua begin at 7:30, and at Schofield Barracks, the fireworks show starts at 7:30. On Maui, the Ka'anapali Resort fireworks show starts at 8:15, and in Hilo, Coconut Island, the show gets underway there at 8 o'clock. The Aloha Tower Marketplace got a jump on everyone with a fireworks show tonight. We'll be right back with more news after the break.
Travelers in 14 years.
So far, mainland highways have been relatively safe. However, in Utah today, 7 people were killed in a collision on a Navajo Indian reservation about 300 miles from Salt Lake City. Navajo police say the 2 vehicles collided while driving to a birthday party. Alcohol is believed to have played a factor in that crash. Also in Washington State, an elderly man was killed after losing control of his minivan and slammed into a utility pole. The crash knocked out power to nearby neighborhoods. Oil ministers in Saudi Arabia are stepping forward to increase output for world markets. The Saudis are pledging to pump an additional 500,000 barrels a day and are encouraging other Persian Gulf nations to do the same. An OPEC spokesman says the Saudis are hoping to lower prices to about $25 a barrel. Currently, the price sits above $30 a barrel. If you took American history, then you know the Civil War Battle of Gettysburg was one that saved the Union. But critics of this observation tower at the National Monument for years have said it has to go. Too much of an eyesore, they say. So, in an effort to return Gettysburg to the way it looked back in 1863, they imploded it. Adding a little bit of show business, they fired a Civil War cannon. At the same time, explosive charges brought down the tower, and here it goes. Here it goes, it's coming down. The tower was built on private land, but the government condemned it and turned it over to the National Park Service.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's pretty amazing how they just fired the cannon and boom, it came down. Of course, they're not connected at all.
No, that was pretty neat though.
Invasion robbery in Manoa.
Police say he entered the home armed with a gun and armed with something else, knowledge of the house where he installed a home security system. Police say Sean Rodriguez knew exactly what he was doing and where to go and what to look for. KGMB 9's Louise Kim McCoy has this story about a home protection system that provided anything but security to the people inside. The president of Hawaii Alarm Systems says the suspect was fired for just cause. Now, we called other security companies, and many say they conduct background checks on employees, even though it is not required by state law. Investigators went back to the Waimanalo Gulch landfill, but again found nothing in their search for clues in the disappearance of a man last seen at a Waikiki nightclub. Carlos Carrillo was severely beaten at the Evolution nightclub last week. Police suspect a blood-stained carpet from the club may be buried at the landfill. Carrillo has not been seen since the beating. Police say Robert Kaialao, a bouncer at the nightclub, admitted to beating Carrillo and dumping the carpet at the landfill. He told detectives that he dropped Carrillo off at the airport. Kaialao was released pending further investigation. Someone is taking advantage of Hawaii's aloha for Alicia Shimizu. She's the little girl battling a rare bacterial infection that has threatened to take her life. A Pearl City resident told police a woman knocked on her door Sunday asking for a donation to help little Alicia. But her family is not soliciting contributions in this manner. Instead, donations are being accepted at all First Hawaiian Bank branches and the Honolulu Police Federal Credit Union. Now, Alicia continues to get better. She's completely off pain medication now, and doctors think she may be able to come home in about 4 months. The Hawaii longline fishing industry is putting its money where its mouth is. The fishermen are spending tens of thousands of dollars on an advertising campaign so you can learn what's at stake should a court order restrictions on the industry take hold. The story now from KGMB9's Rob Young. The ads make several claims about the impact of longline fishing on the local economy. Is there something fishy about the ads, or do they tell the truth? Now, we asked an economist with the National Marine Fisheries Service. The longliners say the industry pumps $150 million into Hawaii's economy. The feds agree and even suggest the impact could be greater. The fishermen say court restrictions could take the jobs of 2,000 Hawaii workers. That may be a little high. The Fisheries Service says 1,500 jobs could be on the line. And finally, longliners say the judge's ruling will mean a lot less fresh fish available to local consumers. The federal economists agree, saying the availability of fresh fish in Hawaii could drop as much as 80%. Another thing that is not in dispute, the judge's ruling will mean lower quality fish at the same or higher price. Still to come on this program, singer Johnny Cash made the song A Boy Named Sue a really big hit, they tell me, in the 60s.
It was. Take my word for it. Now a T-Rex named Sue is in
Just 5 days till a T-Rex named Sue, the exhibit, stomps into town. But some dinosaur-sized delays were putting pressure on the Bishop Museum to get it together on time until today. KGMB9's Jim Mendoza has the story. In case you're wondering, the model is made out of fiberglass, and when Sue is put together, she'll stand 13 feet tall and stretch 45 feet from nose to tail.
I can hardly wait. I think I'm more anxious than my son.
Harry Potter and a T-Rex named Sue all in 1 week.
Now they know
so many riches.
They don't know the exact gender, and Sue is named after the person who found the dinosaur bones,
right.
Sue Henderson.
But we'll call her Sue. We'll call
Fascinating.
Okay. Girl named Kim here to do the weather.
Oh boy, it's been a humid day out there. How long will that hang?
It was day one for the defense in the theft and fraud trial of Michael Kahapea, who's accused of stealing millions from the Ewa Villages project. City housing specialist Michael Shiroma showed the jury a bullet he received from former housing employee Norman Tam, a co-defendant who died last year. It happened after he questioned Tam about a suspicious invoice.
I said, "Gee, Norman, what do you do when you don't like a guy?" So he reached into his pocket. He gave me the bullet and said, "Give him a bullet just like I'm giving you now, Mike."
Shiroma is the city employee who blew the whistle on the Ewa Villages scam. Kapea's attorneys are trying to deflect some of the blame on the late Norman Tam, who worked the project with Kahapea. Today, the defense tried to get former Honolulu Mayor Frank Fosse on its witness list. A judge denied that request. Vermont's controversial same-sex law is giving America's clergy a heavier cross to bear. Members of the Episcopal Church are meeting in Colorado for their 2000 convention. At the top of the agenda, same-sex marriages. Today, members agree that while the church cannot recognize same-sex marriages, it will give gay couples their blessing. Hawaii Reverend Peter Courtney says only couples which are monogamous will be recognized.
And when we see holy things, we want to say they're holy and not pretend that they aren't when we know they are.
The proposal must still be approved by the Commission, a process which could take years. Now, earlier this month, Vermont became the first state in the nation to grant civil unions for gay couples.
Good evening. Police made arrests during the raid along Ward Avenue.
One suspect seemed awfully young, and she was. Police made an unexpected call on the massage parlor because they believed the girls were rubbing customers the wrong way. HPD moved in and arrested a teenager for selling sex for money. In this exclusive report, KGMB 9's Louise Kim McCoy tells us the business is no stranger to the law and why a teenage girl was allowed to work there. Investigators told us it's common for owners to transfer ownership of their massage parlor business to someone else when they suspect they're being watched by police, but the change is often only on paper. The property manager in this case claims if the prostitution charge holds, he will evict the owner again. For the first time, a high-level city manager says publicly the city's troubled Ewa Villages project was a big mistake. That's the latest testimony from the theft trial of Michael Kahapea. Parks Director William Balfour was appointed by Mayor Harris in 1997. Before that, he was general manager of Oahu Sugar, which leased the land at Ewa Villages. He testified he told the mayor and anyone who would listen that revitalizing the area was a bad move.
My personal opinion was, and always has been, that Ewa Villages needed to be systematically moved out as people moved out and replaced, because trying to save what was there was a very, very bad mistake.
The city ignored Balfour, and that set the stage for the multi-million-dollar scam prosecutors say Michael Kahapea pulled on Oahu taxpayers. Two environmental groups have asked a federal judge to force the state and EPA to clean up polluted Hawaii waterways. The group says some 50 bodies of water in the state are so dirty that they need to be added to the list of polluted waterways, and that includes the filthy Alawai Canal. Federal law requires the government to develop plans to clean up the waterways on that list. The lawsuit says the State Department of Health and the EPA have failed to identify all the waterways and has no cleanup plans for most of them. A local couple plans to break new ground by becoming one of the first in Hawaii to take advantage of Vermont's new same-sex law. Sue Reardon and Michelle Zielinski will soon be headed there to be joined by civil union. In July, Vermont became the first in the nation to extend marriage rights to gay couples. But because the couple plans to return to Hawaii, civil rights experts say most of those benefits won't apply here.
I think that this is the next step in a logical sequence, and we may not get full rights today or tomorrow, but I think we will maybe in the next 20, 30 years.
It has great symbolic and emotional value to be able to go to a state that recognizes your union as something close to marriage.
Some experts believe other states may one day allow civil unions. The Food and Drug Administration has good news for those of you battling high cholesterol. An FDA advisory committee will decide by Friday if they intend to recommend two popular medications be made available over the counter. Mevacor and Provocol are the names of the two drugs the FDA is considering making available at your neighborhood drugstore. However, both cholesterol-fighting drugs come with possible serious side effects.
I've run into cases, however, where I've had to either back down on the medication dosages or completely withdraw the medications from people who have developed liver abnormalities. And these are abnormalities that would have gone unnoticed and caused progressive damage had I not been able to monitor these patients.
Now, this week, their advisory committee will make recommendation as to whether these cholesterol busters are safe enough for you to buy over the counter at a store near you. Well, this was not the day to go body surfing in San Diego. Take a look at all those leopard sharks, dozens of them just lazing around in the surf. It's an ominous sight, but leopard sharks are not considered threatening. Oh, yeah, they say that. Instead, they feed on assorted types of sea creatures. Now, in July and August, they usually gather in shallow waters to feed on crab, octopus, and smaller fish. Leopard sharks grow to more than 7 feet long.
Nice little gathering there. They're all saying, hey, nice to see you again. Little leopard shark club.
Not considered threatening. Okay, that's what they say.
That's what they say. Kim is next with weather. Stay with us.
Don't usually get them, so we'll take that too.
Okay.
Well, with this humidity, we were hoping for precipitation. What we're getting is perspiration.
You've got it.
It is out there.
Thanks.
A Kalihi Valley playground that some fear is unsafe got a second look today. The Department of Health examined DeCourt Park to see if the electric and magnetic fields from a nearby power substation pose a threat to playground users. The story now from KGMB 9's Rob Young. Representatives from the Mayor's Office and Parks and Recreation Department are scheduled to appear at next month's Kalihi Valley Neighborhood Board meeting. They'll discuss the possibility of moving that playground. A 20-year-old man charged with robbing a mother and daughter at gunpoint inside their Manoa home made his first appearance today in court. Sean Rodriguez, in the green T-shirt, was taken to district court this morning where he entered a plea of not guilty. Police say Rodriguez installed the home security system in the home of his victims, who positively identified him. But Rodriguez's attorney says HPD's got the wrong man, that 5 eyewitnesses will say Rodriguez was home when the crime was committed. He's being held at OCCC on $100,000 bail. Well, another sign Hawaii's economy is on the rebound. Last month, tax collections were up by $2 million compared to June of last year, totaling some $273 million. For the fiscal year, which ended in June, collections were up 4%, beating projections from the Council on Revenues. The initial forecast for the year was for no growth. And homeowners can look forward to more savings on their insurance. Allstate Insurance Company is rolling back its rates by an average of 18%. That's a savings of about $77 per policyholder. Now, last year, State Insurance Commissioner Wayne Metcalf urged insurance companies to voluntarily drop their rates, or he would order them to do so. Metcalf said insurance companies were making huge profits, as much as half of the money collected.
Vandalism has been a problem at North Shore Farms for years.
But now it may have gone too far. Last night, the Dole Company became the latest victim. One of its Waialua papaya orchards was torn to shreds. KGMB 9's Rob Young joins us now live from that orchard via News Star 9. And Rob, those trees behind you, they look okay.
That's right, Russell.
Rob, I know this investigation is just going on, but does HPD have any suspects at this time or any leads as to who did this?
Well, the best...
All right, Rob Young reporting live from Waialua via News Star 9. One of the living quarters at Schofield Barracks will be closed for at least 2 months because of the threat of asbestos. Protective fencing has been placed around the F-Quad barracks to keep everyone out. Last week, more than 300 soldiers were evacuated after the discovery of black goo in some of the floor tiles. Now, tests confirmed there was asbestos in the glue and in the ceiling tiles as well. Contractors will need to clean up the barracks. Today, staff members from Tripler Army Medical Center are meeting with the soldiers to talk about the potential dangers of asbestos fibers. The dangers of Agent Orange are prompting a new search on the island of Kauai. This is an update to an Eye on Hawaii investigation. Contractors from the University of Hawaii are excavating areas near Wailua, where drums of Agent Orange were buried years ago. Several containers with remnants of Agent Orange have already been dug up and disposed of. But the university wants to ensure there are no other drums buried in the ground. Our Eye on Hawaii investigation prompted a site cleanup by the University of Hawaii, and that the state is liable for more than $3 million in fines and cleanup costs. No word yet on what caused the death of a Makaha Valley woman over the weekend. Police believe 67-year-old Kobe Lewis of Makaha Valley Road was murdered early Sunday morning. An autopsy conducted today could not conclusively determine how she died, so more tests is needed. Police say Lewis had several facial injuries and was found face down on her living room floor. Lewis is from Amsterdam but had lived in Makaha for the past 20 years. And former St. Louis football standout Darnell Arsenault has been released from police custody following an incident at a Waikiki nightclub. Arsenault, who is now a quarterback at the University of Utah, was arrested early Sunday morning at the Eurasia nightclub. Police say he was wanted for an outstanding warrant and for physically abusing a family member at the nightclub. Arsenault posted $2,000 bail and is set to appear in court on the charges next week. A landing procedure used at Honolulu International Airport to speed up runway traffic is now back in place.
After about a month of saying no, pilots are now back to accepting the order to land and hold short.
Now, we told you about this dispute back in May, and KGMB9's Jim Mendoza has this follow-up. Kim Janala joins us now, and the question for her is, does she stay up and watch the lunar eclipse on Saturday or Sunday morning?
I got up to see it, set my alarm. It was too cloudy.
That's
and I didn't drive over to the leeward side. Folks on the leeward sides and along some parts of the South Shore got a great viewing. I unfortunately had to see it on videotape. Me of all people.
Yeah.
Do you guys know luck?
No.
It was cloudy. I was up. I was up, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I couldn't see it because I had my eyes closed.
Yeah,
sleeping.
and snoring.
Strong winds continue to fan the flames in central Oahu today.
Keeping firefighters hopping from one hot spot to another. Good evening. Well, tonight that fire off Ka'uka Boulevard is out.
But not before giving hundreds of firefighters and thousands of central Oahu residents something to remember. Now, the flames jumped a road leading up to the Mililani Memorial Park Cemetery. That's where firefighters focus much of their battle today. From the sky, you can see the devastation caused by the massive brush fire, a huge swath of blackness as flames charred hundreds of acres of brush. Now, last night I had a rare opportunity to join firefighters out on the front lines to witness the battle from their point of view. Today, KGMB9's Mahealani Richardson got out on the fire line. Now, the fire today also got to within 1,000 feet of the Waiawa Correctional Facility, but not close enough to call for an evacuation. Former Mayor Frank Fossey officially entered the race for mayor today and quickly lashed out at his incumbent opponent. Fossey filed nomination papers this morning and then suggested Mayor Jeremy Harris needs to take responsibility for the Ewa Villages scandal.
Of course it goes up to the top. My God, if you don't think it goes up to the top, you must think the moon is made out of green cheese.
You cannot take credit for the good things that happen in this city, and then all of a sudden, when you have an Ewa Villages fiasco, distance yourself from it.
The Harris campaign would not comment on Fossey's statement, saying the case is still in litigation. Moving on, Honolulu police have opened a murder investigation after a man's body was found at the Pagoda Hotel. The body of William Bogardus was found in his room yesterday morning. Police say Bogardus, who also goes by the name of Stephen, had been stabbed several times. The 52-year-old man checked into the hotel on Monday. After arriving from Kauai, he was here to receive medical treatment. Bogardus was last seen at the hotel on Monday around 2 in the afternoon. If you have any information, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number, 955-8300. KGMB9 News has learned work on a major city construction project in Waikiki has fallen far behind schedule. What was supposed to be finished next month may take until December to complete. KGMB9's Stacy Lowe has the latest on the Kalakaua Avenue widening project and questions about how your money is being spent. The city says the widening project is part of its goal to restore a Hawaiian sense of place in Waikiki, a move to attract more visitors. Hawaiian Electric has scrapped plans to place 2 experimental 90-foot poles on Wa'ahila Ridge. HECO wanted to use the poles to try to gauge how the community will react when it places a series of towers all along the ridge. Now, part of that test called for using different paint colors to determine which is best for blending into the background. But residents complain the experimental poles are much shorter than the real towers and would be placed on a different site on that ridge. 5-year-old Alicia Shimizu is up and walking. It's good news, but the fight is far from over for the little girl from Wahiawa. Doctors continue to treat Alicia at Shriners Hospital in California. She's already undergone skin grafts to repair damage caused by a bacterial infection. Now she's spending about 2 to 3 hours each day on physical therapy to rebuild muscle. Medical bills continue to mount. If you'd like to help, you can still make a donation at Enti First Hawaiian Bank. Well, a day at the beach or pool can be lots of fun, but it can also leave you with a painful ear infection. Here's what causes it. Water enters the outer ear canal and doesn't completely drain. Bacteria or fungus begins to grow, causing the canal lining to become inflamed and swollen. The built-up fluid creates pressure and pain. Christina Rudowski knows the pain firsthand. She's been swimming for much of her life and dealing with ear infections. Antibiotics and ear drops don't seem to work, but she's found something that does.
And so I got them made, and they've been working really well. And I haven't had any really big ear infections since.
Well, the fitted earplugs block out the water, preventing an infection. A repair will cost you $80. Here's the bummer part. Medical insurance will not pay. Still interested? You can have one made at a hearing aid clinic.
I bet people go for it.
Any further development on that tropical depression, but we also want to remind you, you can pick up your free hurricane tracking guides from Napa, any Napa store, or here at KGMB.
But again, nothing to be concerned about at this point.
No.
Okay, thanks.
Can I have this one?
It's all yours.
Boy, it has some coupons on the back here.
Oh, that's why you wanted them. Coming up next, we're going to tell you where a couple of local minor leaguers are heading.
As well as to show you the latest highlights from the major leagues, and you'll also find out what is new about this year's big dance. The NCAA basketball tournament is getting bigger. In other news tonight, a group of parents is outraged at how the children are being treated at school. The kids are afflicted with autism, and their parents say they're being shown no respect whatsoever. A Honolulu special ed teacher is accused of abusing children with autism, and now the parents are fighting back. KGMB 9's Britt Riedel was at tonight's Board of Education meeting and joins us now live from the newsroom with more on this. Britt?
Well, Russell, tonight.
All right, Britt Riedel reporting live from the newsroom tonight. Under new management, that's the sign that should be hanging in front of the Hawaii Convention Center. A state agency, the Hawaii Tourism Authority, is now running the show, and it's changing its policy of no locals. As KGMB 9's Mahea Lonnie Richardson reports, the center is opening its doors to the ones who paid for the facility, the Hawaii taxpayers. In addition to major conventions, the center is also trying to attract mainland theater events and concerts. There are still concerns from nearby residents about heavy traffic, but managers are working on solutions and creating more parking space within the structure. The next time you drive down Kapiolani Boulevard, check out all the new glitzy businesses that have opened up. What was once some old rundown buildings are now opulent showplaces. But as KGMB 9's Garrett Kamimoto reports, Kapiolani is a far cry of what it was supposed to be. BMW says the location is just perfect for the company. It's close to downtown and large enough for a car lot. The company spent $12 million on the land and the new showroom. The gas price roller coaster ride continues, and it has now hit an upslope in California. In San Francisco, $2 a gallon is now the norm. While gas prices in the Midwest are on their way down, a recent survey shows prices have jumped about 14 cents a gallon since June 20th in the Golden State.
Certainly Economics 101 appears to have worked, with people responding to higher gasoline prices by cutting back on their driving.
A few motorists are finding other ways to battle the oil companies by not using a motor, instead traveling by electric car. California law requires automakers to produce up to 200,000 low-emission vehicles for sale by the year 2003.
Boy, feeling almost lucky to have our gas prices now.
Yeah, we're not
almost,
paying. Almost.
Yeah.
At least on this island, not just yet.
Not yet.
Well, this next story is one many locals can identify with.
Because it involves surfing. It's as much a part of...
The governor says he's considering scrapping a plan to build a new prison. Now, last month, he vetoed a bill that would have allowed public unions to run a privately built prison. He says if lawmakers don't change their stance, building a prison will no longer be one of his priorities. House Public Safety Chairman Nestor Garcia says he'd be willing to give up supporting a new prison only if the state creates more drug treatment programs for inmates. A convicted sex offender's past will not be allowed into evidence during an upcoming trial. In 1982, Gilbert Martinez was convicted for sodomy and child abuse and was accused for attempted sex assault in 1989. Prosecutors wanted to use the information against Martinez next month as he stands trial for yet another incident in 1999.
What the defendant does, or what the defendant did in the past, shows us what's going on in his mind, and it's truly for the seduction of these young boys. And that is something that the jury needs to hear. That should be excluded.
But a judge ruled against the evidence. However, he did side with the prosecution in allowing items found at Martinez's apartment. These items include hundreds of child porn photos downloaded via the internet and several books that promote sexual relations between young men and boys. A Costco card was the ticket through the doors to great bargains this morning at the grand opening of the new Costco in Waipio.
Shoppers lined up at the crack of dawn to scout the new store for deals. Within an hour of opening, all 800 of the popular Razor scooters were sold. Among the standard Costco departments, such as a tire center, pharmacy, and optical department, the new Costco includes a gas station with prices lower than most.
It's what we call an added value. You know, when someone has their membership card, now they can have gas too, hopefully at the best price on the island.
And the new Costco covers 152,000 square feet and employs over 200 people.
Got to go visit that.
Yeah. She says nothing fabulous on Kapiolani.
Well,
we're here.
Yeah, that's right.
We're here.
We're here. BMW's here.
Still to come on KGMB 9 News, an update on the season's first tropical storm in Hawaiian waters.
And some island teens go door to door. A little respect.
That's what one Korean War veteran says he deserves after being abandoned by the military police at Tripler Army Medical Center. Tonight, it's an Eye on Hawaii investigation. KGMB 9's Britt Riedel shows us why a man who gave honor to his country was given dishonorable treatment by the very people charged with his care. Schofield Barracks has apologized for how the MPs treated Mr. Mahi. A brigadier general delivered the message in person. But as incredible as it may seem for Mr. Mahi to be left at a bus stop in the middle of the night, that's not the only indignity that he suffered while in the care of Tripler Army Medical Center. Tomorrow night, we'll have the incredible story of what happened next. Crime is beginning to take a bite out of the North Shore economy after continued vandalism at Dole Plantation. The company let go 10 workers this weekend, in part because of theft and vandalism problems in North Shore fields. KGMB 9 first reported last week about the vandalism and Dole's concern for jobs and its overall financial future if the destruction continued. Dole has suffered losses of $105,000 due to theft and vandalism in the last year alone. Now, the company says just this weekend, thieves stole more than $1,500 worth of herbicide. Low-income families and condo owners could see a reduction in property taxes under a package of bills introduced at City Hall. But as KGMB 9's Stacy Lowe reports, the proposed action means that some senior citizens could be paying more. A task force came up with the recommended changes to the property tax system. You will get a chance to respond, but no hearings are set up yet. A couple of Republican candidates for office are leaving their radio jobs, fearing that Democrats will ask for equal time on the air. As KGMB 9's Garrett Kamimoto reports, Democrats say they may file complaints about the radio Republicans having an unfair advantage in this upcoming election. Well, a girl from Molokai proves that sometimes the best writers come from small places.
Our summer intern Amber Grigsby introduces the local winner of a national writing contest. Jenny's a graduate of Kamehameha School's class of 2000.
You know, in Molokai, what do we have? The fitness champions of the nation, now the writing champion here. They could get a great baseball team.
It's a good place to be
from. A lot of things coming from the Friendly Isle.
Yeah.
Doing a great job over there. Kim Janala will be here next for a complete look at island weather.
First, here's a look at the current conditions.
All the veteran wanted was medical care at the all-military facility.
But what he got was frustration and humiliation. When they asked him to go off to war, Edward Mahi was right there, signing up for the Korean conflict as a teenager. Some 50 years later, this aging veteran needs the government's help in the form of medical treatment. But Tripler Army Medical Center turned him away, and that wasn't even the most egregious act. KGMB 9's Britt Riedel continues her Eye on Hawaii investigation into the dishonorable treatment of a veteran from those who are supposed to take care of him. Now, we are sorry to report Mr. Mahi's right foot was amputated at Tripler last Friday. His left foot will be amputated this week. Both the military police and Tripler Hospital say they are reviewing the policies that led to the treatment Mr. Mahi received. In other aviation news, KGMB 9 News has learned that the man who flew a Maui tour helicopter into the side of a mountain last Friday was not certified to fly by instruments only. Larry Kirsch was at the controls of the ill-fated Blue Hawaiian Tour chopper. Other pilots flying that day say weather at the time of the crash was heavy clouds and poor visibility. Today, a spokesman for Blue Hawaiian Helicopters told KGMB 9 Kirsch was not certified to fly using instrument flight rules. That's the type of flying that's required when visibility is poor. The FAA does say that Kirsch met all requirements for keeping his commercial pilot's license current, and he was certified to fly the type of chopper that crashed. Now, 4 years ago, Kirsch was suspended for a mid-air collision in Alaska. Federal investigators hope to release a preliminary report on the Maui accident next week. Let the race for Honolulu mayor officially begin. Incumbent Jeremy Harris and Mufi Hanneman filed their nomination papers, joining former Mayor Frank Fossey in the quest for the city's top job. Harris supporters marched from Chinatown to the steps of City Hall, chanting and holding signs. Harris says he has more support than he did 4 years ago, including that of the governor. He believes that and his experience will put him back in office.
I think the question is, have we done a good job? Have we been able to improve services? Have we been able to do it with less taxes? The answer is yes.
If you're going to talk about his record, then you can't just take credit for the good things. You also have to talk about Ever Villages. You have to talk about cost overruns, such as the Cohill Beach Sidewalk Widening Project.
Hanneman says his campaign will focus on improving the economy and the need for change. In fact, today he even called himself an agent for change. In order to run for mayor, Hanneman had to resign from the city council, which he did today. Mike Gabbard is best known for his stance on traditional marriage. He was hoping to get to Congress, but that dream was laid by the wayside today. Gabbard showing up at the lieutenant governor's office just before the deadline to file nomination papers, but instead he announced he was pulling out of the race. He says his inability to raise campaign funds did not play a role in his decision.
Obviously, Neil Abercrombie is raising lots more than we were, but I think when you look at our extensive grassroots coalition, much stronger than Neil's, that I think it would be a very close contest.
Gladys Hayes and Phil Myers are seeking the Republican nomination, while Neil Abercrombie will be challenged by David Burgoyne in the Democratic primary. The captain of a Navy ship involved in a crash with a military tanker has been assigned to desk duty on the mainland. The USS Denver, a Navy ship based in San Diego, smashed its bow into the rear of the USNS Yukon during a refueling mission off the coast of Oahu 2 weeks ago. As you can see, the damage was severe. Now, Navy officials are continuing their investigation into what happened. Meantime, Captain Charles Weber has been assigned to desk duty with an amphibious squadron stationed in San Diego.
That destruction is still unbelievable when you see those pictures.
At least he wasn't sent to the weather station at the South Pole.
Yeah.
But then again, the investigation is not over yet. Still ahead on this program, hopes for the peace agreement are dashed after 3 weeks of negotiations.
Also from the Texas state.
The Mideast peace talks went into overtime only to collapse today without an agreement. The main stumbling block, what to do with Jerusalem. Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak met with PLO leader Yasser Arafat for 14 days at Camp David while President Clinton officiated. In a joint statement, the three promised to continue their efforts to conclude an agreement on all permanent status issues as soon as possible. Now, sources say Israel offered to share sovereignty over parts of Jerusalem, but Arafat refused, insisting that all of East Jerusalem be returned to the Palestinians. It's undetermined how the failed peace talks will affect the leader's political clout back home. If you're going to use the HOV lane, you're supposed to have a couple of passengers with you. That wasn't the case for this single-engine plane forced to make an emergency landing on an LA freeway during rush hour. Now, the pilot says his engine simply gave out, and the busy freeway was the only place he could land that plane. Investigators say the pilot should be congratulated for successfully landing the plane without causing any damage or injuries.
You never know what's going to happen on the LA freeway, do you?
Always have two hands on the wheel and be prepared for landing planes. You never know.
Oh boy. Well, coming up as
a proposed North Shore camp is in danger of dying, despite the fact that it passed a key hurdle at City Hall today. A mainland developer wants to put 72 tents, a swimming pool, and cafeteria on this beachfront land on the North Shore. He's calling it a campground, but opponents say it's a resort and doesn't belong there.
The developer is trying to lead us all into believing that this is a campground. This is not a campground. It is an overnight accommodation development.
Supporters of the project say it will bring jobs and revive dying North Shore businesses. The project was approved in committee, but there are not enough votes to pass it when it goes up for final approval next month.
Well, for years, that's been the battle cry of UH sports fans. Good evening. From the stands, the roar of the crowd cheered on the Bows.
But instead of Go Bows, fans will now be cheering Go Warriors. No more bows after 77 years of a rainbow identifying the University of Hawaii and its sports teams. The school changed its logo today. While the UH did this to better market its teams and merchandise, there's another reason for Hawaii coming to the end of its rainbow. This is what's replacing the rainbow. A simple design that UH administrators say will give a bolder appearance on the fields of competition and a greater cash flow in the logo shops. The football team will be the first to debut the new look, much to the delight of its head coach.
I can hardly wait to walk into Aloha Stadium and see this logo on our field and Hawaii written in the end zone and the pattern carrying through our uniforms.
It's not only a new look, but a new name. The football team will no longer be known as the Rainbows. It's now the Warriors.
You're always going to have people that obviously some are going to like. We're going to see the poll in the paper. Do you like it? Do you not?
The Rainbow name and logo has been around for decades, but the university confirmed another reason for breaking tradition.
Well, that, you're tied in with the gay community. So, I mean, people joke about that.
Tired of those jokes, athletics director Hugh Yoshida and his staff set out to separate the school and the logo that has been a symbol of some gay communities.
There's a perception about the rainbows and so forth, and we need to neutralize it when our coaches go out for recruiting.
Apparently, it wasn't that much of a problem. Over the years, players have come from far and wide to play for UH. With a new look comes a new attitude, and while fans and players may ultimately feel good about wearing the new colors, it's the results on the field that builds a winning tradition. Well, the UH Athletics Department recently signed a marketing agreement with the company owned by Super Sports agent Lee Steinberg. But Yoshida said today the logo and name change were in the works before signing that deal with Steinberg.
Well, Russell, with this new logo.
At this hour, Honolulu firefighters are still at the scene of a brush fire in Maili. It forced dozens of families to evacuate. Now here's where the brush fire is. Several homes along Mamoali'i Way were damaged too extensively. KGMB 9's Alan Liu is live tonight in Maili via News Star 9. And Alan, what is the latest?
Well, Russell, we're on
The fate of former city housing director Michael Kahapea now rests with the jury. Both sides in the Ewa Villages trial presented closing arguments today. KGMB 9's Garrett Kamimoto reports from Circuit Court. Saving someone's life is a noble deed, but for some, it's all part of a job. Today, Police Chief Lee Donahue awarded 4 HPD officers with certificates of merit. Last month, officers Dale Morita and Russell Pereira saved a woman from drowning in Nu'uanu Stream. In April, officers Brian Taniguchi and Antonio Perry Jr. saved a man's life after he collapsed at Ala Moana.
It's a really good emotional booster knowing that, we have saved a life, and, that's just our job. That's part of our job.
And 3 civilians, Stanley Aki, Greg Kapiki, and William Godding, were also awarded certificates of merit for assisting in the rescues. A jury is now deciding the fate of Michael Kahapea, the former housing employee on trial for stealing millions of your city tax dollars. Prosecutors claim Kahapea ran a scam that diverted money that was supposed to be used to relocate businesses in Ewa Villages. Defense attorneys contend every city bureaucrat who testified lied about what was really going on.
Why did they get up there and lie? It may sound offensive, and I apologize for that. But they got up and they lied, and they should be held accountable for it. You have to ask yourself, why did they lie?
Jurors deliberated a little today, and they'll resume tomorrow. East Oahu drivers, you have dodged a major bullet, or should we say a lot of red cones. The construction project along Kalani-Anaole Highway is off, at least for a year. Mayor Harris reached an agreement with the delay with the State Department of Transportation, all because of dozens of other road projects going on right now.
Well, I was concerned about the cumulative impact of the road work, all the work that the state's doing on H1. It needs to be done, but when you add to that the Board of Water Supply work on Kalani-Anaole Highway and the H1 resurfacing, I thought that the cumulative impact on the driving public was going to be just too severe.
Harris says the decision's been in the works for about a month now, but his opponent for mayor, Mufi Hanneman, is questioning whether this is a political move with the upcoming election. When the project gets underway next year, they'll be replacing old water lines under the highway, and we're told this delay will not increase the cost of the work. A student's first day of high school is certainly memorable, but for the freshman class at Kapolei High School, the memories will be many because they are the first to use Hawaii's newest school. KGMB9's Jim Mendoza checked it out today. Kapolei High School is being built in phases, adding a new class of students and a new building each year. In about 3 years, about 1,800 students will be at Kapolei. And oh, by the way, the school's nickname, the Hurricanes.
The investigation into what caused the crash of an Air France Concorde is underway.
That mishap outside of Paris yesterday claimed the lives of all 109 people on board, as well as 4 on the ground.
CBS correspondent Lee Cowan has the latest, including stunning home video taken moments before that jet went down.
Napster.com is the widely popular website that brings all sorts of music right to your computer free of charge. But a federal judge has pulled the plug on the song-swapping website for now. This is what the website looks like. And a federal judge in San Francisco has issued an injunction shutting down the trading of copyrighted music on Napster. The judge saying the company encouraged wholesale infringing against the music industry. The Recording Industry Association of America sued Napster in December, accusing the company of violating copyright law. But Napster argues that personal copying of music is protected by federal law. 6 major wildfires and numerous other small fires are raging throughout the state of Arizona and is stretching fire crews dangerously thin, mainly because Arizona sent the bulk of its fire teams to other southwestern states to help tackle other brush fires there. Meanwhile, some 700 firefighters continue to beat back flames in the Mesa Verde National Park. That's in Colorado. The Huico fire now stretches some 8 miles and is threatening a preserve.
Just heavy rain or even a hurricane when it reaches us. We'll keep you posted on that.
Okay, we know you will.
Thanks. And coming up next, we've got the sport that will be making waves this weekend.
And UH athletes share their thoughts on the new logo. Plus, it's that time of year when you see double, but only at night. The sports guy will be along to explain.
Everyone's speechless over the new logos.
We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Kathy Lee is on The Late Show.
Oh, boy.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
KGMB9's Russell Shamoka has the latest live from Waipio via News Star 9. Russell?
Good evening, Jade. Right behind me is the Ka'uka Boulevard cross area of the H2 freeway. As you can see right behind me, there are no cars coming down, and we're right in the path of some helicopters that have been dumping water all afternoon, at least from 3 o'clock when this fire started. Now, let's take you for a bird's eye view of some of the hot spots now. As we mentioned, it started just south of the Ka'uka off-ramp, and it spread in 2 directions, going up north towards Mililani and also towards the south towards Pearl Harbor. This is some of the videotape that we've taken earlier. Now, as we mentioned, the H2 freeway was closed in both directions, and also Ka'uka Boulevard as of about 3 o'clock this afternoon. They evacuated the Waipio Light Industrial Park. Now, the fire jumped the H2 freeway and threatened some of the businesses over there. Also, 45 people might have been trapped up in the Mililani Memorial Park area. They were set to have 2 funerals up there, but those funerals have been canceled for this afternoon, and the fire department spokesman says that those people have been taken out. Also, the fire department has 25 companies along with 6 federal firefighter companies that are battling this blaze. Over 100 firefighters are right now battling this blaze, and also Army helicopters from the 25th Infantry Division, Chinook helicopters, as well as Black Hawk helicopters have been in the air for most of this afternoon, dumping water on the flames that you see. They are heading to right now a hot spot that is moving towards the Pearl Harbor side, running down the length of the H2 freeway. These are Black Hawk helicopters from the 25th Infantry Division that have been pressed into duty. We are told that 2 helicopters or Chinook helicopters from Schofield and also these Black Hawks have been going non-stop since about 3 o'clock this afternoon, along with Air 1 and also the police helicopter has been in the air monitoring the situation. Now, it's going to be very important for the fire department to put this blaze out by nightfall because they expect this fire to whip up and the winds to whip up to about 10 to 25 miles an hour tonight, so there is some fuel for this fire. They've also talked about residents in the Waipio Gentry area to be on standby, especially those with wooden shingle roofs, to be on standby because if the wind kicks up a little bit more and pushes the fire towards the west side, that is on this side of the H2 freeway, and that might spell danger for these residents. Jade, back to you. That's the very latest.
Let's go back now to Russell Shimoko, who is out at Waipio for a live update on that huge brush fire out there. Russell?
Jade, sortie after sortie continues here, bringing the water up from Pearl Harbor and dumping it here up in the Waipio Gentry area. I'm standing just along the H2 freeway, which we told you earlier has been closed in both directions as firefighters, as many as 125 of them, about 25 companies and 6 federal firefighting companies are battling this blaze. Now, the problem is that there are no fire hydrants out on the east side of the freeway, so they're relying solely on tanker water and also water that's inside the engine company trucks, as well as the water that's coming from the helicopters. Now, we said that the Waipio light industrial area has been evacuated, and residents on this side have been put on alert that should the fire jump across the freeway again, that they might be having to move right away. Of course, we'll bring you the very latest and a full report and a complete wrap-up on this on our 10 o'clock show. Back to you, Jade.
Okay, thanks, Russell. Parking lot of that brand new Costco that hasn't even officially opened yet, but it's being very generous to the firefighters.
That's exactly right, Jade. The store is not even open, and this place was just swarming with emergency vehicles, but the firefighters were not here to shop. They were here to fight a fire, a really stubborn fire that, as you said, began at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to show you the area of where it started. It started near the Mililani Memorial Park. It began at about 3 o'clock, as we said, and it spread north and south. If you just follow the H2 freeway, both north and south, or left or right on your screen, that's the way the fire went, forcing the closure of H2 in both directions. Traffic, as we said, was a mess, but more on that coming up. Joining me back here live at the parking lot of Costco is KGMB9 reporter Alan Liu, who's one of the first on the scene. And Alan, what did you see? Well, Russell, 125 firefighters out in the field. Now, many say they have fought brush fires before in the past, but this one, they say, is one they will remember. Firefighters are calling this the biggest brush fire of the season. Flames so intense, so large that this truck almost caught on fire. From above, a squadron of helicopters bombarded the area in an effort to bring the blaze under control. The bulk of the fire is put out by the helicopters up above, dropping loads of water down. But for the hot spots, these guys got to get in on foot to put the embers out. This is the front lines, where the water is rationed because of no hydrants out here. We're following the crew of Engine 16 from Makiki as it puts out the hot spots.
It's a lot of overhaul work, a lot of just checking and trying to keep the fire from crossing over into the newer areas. A lot of the old areas are burned away. We're just trying to prevent it from spreading.
Moving through the brush is not easy. The area is hot, the smoke is thick, the hose is heavy, and the oxygen is in short supply.
It gets hot, it gets tiring. That's why sometimes the guy on the nozzle, he's got to drink a little bit of water out of the nozzle, get rehydrated.
Being out in the brush takes its toll. Exhaustion and dehydration are serious problems. That's why this rest area is set up so firefighters can soak up some fresh water and medical teams can ensure these firemen can continue on. Then it's back to the front lines, dousing flames and making sure things don't kick back up again. And that's what they're doing right now. Some firefighters are remaining here in the Costco area. Some are still out there on the front lines. They're making sure that there are no hot spots that can kick back up again. Right now the fire is under control. Everything is pretty much back to normal, but they'll spend the better part of this night making sure that those hot spots don't flare back up again. Jade, back to you.
Russ's largest heroin case in U.S. history.
200 people arrested nationwide, including 18 on Maui and 10 right here in Honolulu. In Operation Tar Pit, federal agents busted a huge drug operation. U.S. Attorney General Janet Reno claims the nationwide drug ring distributed 80 pounds of heroin a month and used girls and elderly men to transport the drugs. As KGMB9's Louise Kim McCoy reports, some of the players in this drug trafficking ring were located right here in the islands. A bill to limit fireworks in Hawaii was signed into law today by Governor Ben Cayetano. Firecracker celebrations last New Year's sparked a bill from lawmakers limiting people to 5,000 firecrackers each, with permits costing $25. The police department wanted a total ban, but is calling the bill an acceptable compromise.
Like the governor, I've been born and raised here.
The bill also regulates fireworks storage facilities, and it also cracks down on those breaking the new law. In national news, the military is still trying to get a handle on why so many of its aircraft are falling out of the sky. Crashes, especially to helicopters, have been happening at an alarming rate. Well, today, the Navy released the cause of a chopper crash that took the lives of 6 Marines and a sailor. As CBS's Manuel Gallegos reports, the finger of blame points to the pilot. A Honolulu meat company is recalling more than 200 pounds of ham that may be contaminated with listeria. A'ala Meat Market Incorporated recalled their sliced chopped ham, sliced luncheon meat, and lean cooked ham in 6 to 40-pound packages. Now, the package labels bear EST 12425 inside the USDA seal of inspection. The ham was produced from June 1st through June 10th and distributed to hotels, restaurants, and other food service entities throughout Honolulu. Now, any questions about the recall, you can call the A'ala Meat Market. The phone number there is 832-6650. Okay. Still to come on KGMB9 News. You know, I think it was Mark Twain who said, the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco.
Well, he would have... Tomorrow, the federal government will make the announcement that this summer will be the hottest on record.
You don't have to tell that to millions of people in Northern California who are suffering through triple-degree weather. Now, San Francisco was once home to the summer of love, but this is the summer of heat. For the third straight day, temperatures in the hundreds in the city by the bay. Power was shut off to many homes and businesses as the demand for electricity rises with the mercury. And with that rise, the risk of heat injuries. 6 people already dead because of the hot weather. Now, dry and windy weather is the problem in Colorado, where fires have been raging out of control. Today was a red flag day when fire conditions are at the worst. Adding to it all, winds were blowing 50 miles an hour, giving new life to fires that should have died out. 1,100 firefighters are just no match out there. They say only Mother Nature can stop what she has started. Now, Colorado is facing a water shortage as well, sending much of its supply to help fight fires to its neighbor New Mexico in the south. You know, the rich people of this world, they don't really worry about the price of gasoline or for anything else for that matter. And just who are these people who sit on top of the financial food chain? Well, here are the top billionaires in the world according to Forbes magazine. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates heads the list with a net worth of $60 billion. Oracle's chairman Larry Ellison next at $47 billion. King Al Saud of Saudi Arabia is third with $30 billion, followed by Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen and investment mogul Warren Buffett. Honolulu resident Barbara Cox Anthony is listed at number 33 with a combined worth of $10 billion. Along with her sister Ann, they are heirs to the Cox media fortune. Now, that is one list I don't mind being at the bottom of. Last, dead last, tail end Charlie, put me down there at the bottom. I don't care.
Yeah, but you know, things have really changed. I can remember when it was the millionaires list. Now that's not even high enough. It's the billionaires list.
There's like 400-something billionaires on the list.
Yeah, so $1 million is nothing nowadays,
it's,
right?
It's just, it's nothing. Nothing at all. Followed by Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen and investment mogul Warren Buffett. Honolulu resident Barbara Cox